So you're ready to take your Motorcycle Safety Foundation course. Very cool, my guy. It is the easiest way to get a motorcycle endorsement on your license, and in most states, completion of the MSF course waives any necessary testing from the DMV, saving you from the inevitable letdown that comes from getting a motorcycle learner's permit, practicing with a jigs or squid you call a friend who teaches you how to pull fifth gear wheelies on the highway instead of working the friction zone in a parking lot, but before signing up for and inevitably failing your skills test because the narcs at the DMV don't see the value of a dank nooner. I've seen many riders go down that route, and while it isn't impossible to practice with a permit and take the skills test on your own, you'll definitely need the right friend or relative there to give you proper guidance, and ultimately it will take likely even longer than just dedicating a weekend to taking the MSF course. Taking the course will ensure that you have the fundamentals down pat so you can begin practicing on your own without developing a litany of bad habits. You'll get some good feedback and direction from your instructors which can help make you a better rider in the long run. Here are a few things you should expect from your MSF course. Let's get into it. Today's video is sponsored by our community over at yammynoob.co. I will tell you more about that later in the show, but before we go on this journey together, make sure to click the notification bell so you know when all the freshest videos come out. We've got plenty of videos geared for beginner squids just like you. One of the first things to expect from the MSF course is to learn. Yeah, I know that sounds obvious, but you'd be surprised at the number of people that take the course thinking that they already know how to ride. Hey man, I rode dirt bikes growing up, I already bought a Harley Road Glide, just signed my damn DMV waiver already. It's as if when people get older, they forget that they don't know everything and become unable to learn new ideas. Oh yeah, it's called neuroplasticity, the #1 reason Harley Davidson is still in business. You put a bunch of adults in an educational setting and they start to behave worse than kindergartners who skip nap time. So go in expecting to learn. Be respectful and listen to your instructors. I assume most of them only do it because they love motorcycling and want more people to be able to experience it or satisfy some community service requirement after their third DUI. Sometimes people who sign up for the MSF course don't realize the amount of classroom time that will be required. Usually is around 8 hours of in-class time working out of a booklet that goes over everything from appropriate motorcycle gear, basic components of a motorcycle, motorcycle laws, and eventually riding skills. Much of what you go over will be on the final knowledge test, so pay attention and ask questions if you're unsure. The only stupid question is the one you don't ask. And, oh, which beginner bike should I get? It's Turbo Busa. It's already embedded into every piece of Yammy Noob content somehow, so stop asking me already. Once the classroom portion is completed and the spitballs are long dried up on the chalkboard, the next 2 days will be spent on the riding course learning practical skills. Despite what you already know from prior experience or have learned online from your friends, go into the MSF with an open mind and eager to absorb all the information you can. Don't act like a know-it-all. One of the biggest things you should expect from the MSF is to practice the riding skills over and over and over. Short attention span? Get bored easily? Well, have your mom pack an extra Ritalin in your Lunchable because it's gonna be repetitive. While you will be spending 2 days doing the practical skills training on the course, there are maybe only a dozen different exercises that you will do repeatedly. Over and over and over until either the sun finally burns out or your instructor decides it's time to move on to the next exercise. You'll be doing some basic exercises like the cone weave and making a right-hand turn from a stop. Then you'll do the U-turn in the box, which is probably the most fabled exercise of the course. You'll be learning about cornering and entry speed on a little outline track. You'll practice emergency stopping, avoiding obstacles, shifting gears, and lane changing. Then you'll learn how to make the perfect poached egg and do your taxes. Just be prepared yourself to do these basic exercises many times and expect to do a lot of sitting and waiting in line until it's your turn to practice again. Remember to have fun while you're out there on the course learning different skills. It is a lot of fun being out there on the MSF. Depending on your experience level, you might either be really nervous or really bored during some of the exercises. In both situations, allow yourself to relax a little bit and enjoy yourself. It'll improve your riding experience. It is a lot easier to learn when you are relaxed and having fun instead of letting your mind race and imagining all the different creative ways you can epically fail in front of your course mates, like dropping your bike or peeing your pants or saying yes daddy when your instructor gives you pointers. Riding a motorcycle is fun. At the end of the day, that is something we can all agree on. I mean, don't have as much fun as a hammered Grom rider during St. Patrick's Day mini bike ride, but be relaxed, be present, and enjoy yourself. And don't get discouraged if you're slow to pick up on certain skills. It will come back with enough practice. And if you want to learn by having fun, then you should join our community over at yammynoob.co. We've got the best community of online motorcyclists of every experience level. By signing up, you will gain access to our Discord server. You can chat with other members, ask for advice on the Ask Yam channel, enjoy our weekly live streams, and contribute to the Yamcast through DMs and contest submissions. It's always a ton of fun and are my favorite way to break the fourth wall and engage more directly with the community. Or if you're an antisocial introvert, there are other perks of signing up as well. You'll get discounts at shop.yamanoob.co, discounted bike rentals to Twisted Road, and of course, entries to win all of our giveaway motorcycles. Memberships are as low as $5 a month, and it's a great way for new motorcyclists to jumpstart their journey into the sport. Head over to yamanoob.co to check it out. You should also expect to receive criticism from the instructors. Even the most experienced riders have probably developed plenty of bad habits over the years, so despite your experience level, expect that your instructors will have something to say about your performance. It may be about a specific exercise or riding in general. In my course, there was a handful of young but very experienced dirt bike riders who had spent hundreds of hours on motocross tracks or forest trails before getting their endorsement on the street, and despite their confidence on the bike, they were constantly getting critiqued because riding a dirt bike on trails is completely different from doing a U-turn inside of a box in a parking lot. And the sooner they recognized they still had things to learn, the better they got at the exercises. Also, for those who are more sensitive to criticism, if there was ever a time to try and get over that, it would be during the MSF course. Let me tell you a little story. There was an older couple in my course, maybe in their early 40s. I guess old is relative, sorry if that offends anybody. I'm now on the older side of youthful myself, entering my 30s. But anyway, there is this couple who decided that they wanted to learn how to ride motorcycles. Awesome, right? Well, apparently not awesome, because both had almost no prior experience of motorcycling before taking the class. That isn't necessarily a prerequisite, but it will make your experience easier if you have a fundamental understanding of how a motorcycle works or what a motorcycle is and so on. So they know very little about motorcycles and are understandably a little intimidated out on the course. The instructors recognized that they needed a significant amount of attention during the exercises. Then this couple started to feel like they were being singled out or bullied because they were receiving the most criticism. Eventually, the husband threw a hissy fit and quit the course midway through. So this dude sat on the bench on the side of the parking lot for another 6 hours just pouting while his wife finished the course, although she did ultimately fail. And at the very end, the attendees were given an instructor evaluation sheet, and instead of just answering the questions like a normal person, the husband flipped over his and scrawled an entire manifesto about how horrible his experience was. I'm surprised he didn't stand up on his chair and read it aloud and ask other people to join in on his mission to fight against the MSF tyranny. They were some of the only people who failed the course I was in. I can't help but think there is a direct correlation between your ability to accept criticism and your success in this class. When signing up for the MSF course, you should expect to have bought your gear ahead of time. The gear necessary to take part in the course is a helmet, eye protection, long pants, gloves, and boots. Theoretically, you could get away with just purchasing minimal equipment, but it isn't a great look to show up to the MSF with a hand-me-down half helmet, safety glasses, and gardening gloves while the instructor is preaching the merits of ATGAD. But you can also show up if they have helmet rentals and just wearing some pants and some gloves and some boots, you'll be fine. If you're serious about getting into motorcycling, you should pony up and buy some proper equipment. If you're buying gear online, make sure to take proper measurements to make sure everything's going to fit you properly. If you're going to especially want to make sure your helmet fits correctly, otherwise it isn't going to do a very job protecting your brain. We have a little how-to graphic on shop.yamanoob.co that can help you measure the size of your noggin so you know which helmet size to order. Hey, I guess while you're over there, you can check out our selection of gloves and boots as well. If you're buying gear specifically for the MSF course, think about what the weather is going to be like. You're not going to want to be wearing gear better suited for the fall while you spend 6 hours sitting on an idling air-cooled motorcycle in a parking lot on a 90-degree day. You should also expect your MSF course to be attended by all sorts of different age groups and experience levels and demographics. Despite what our YouTube analytics tell us, motorcycles are ridden by all sorts of different people in the real world, even women. Shocker if you look at our statistics, but it's true. When I took my course, I was one of the fewer younger people attending. Expect a young woman who didn't even have her driver's license yet, but wanted to get the MSF out of the way so she could get her motorcycle endorsements as soon as she got her normal driver's license. There were a lot of older people on the bleeding edge of a midlife crisis who had finally decided to get on two wheels after their boring suburban life had become too much to handle. The most interesting attendees in my course were a couple of older club guys who had been riding their entire life without an endorsement, and after getting pulled over or involved in some sort of accident, were forced to take the MSF course and get endorsed. One guy specifically was in a pretty big nationally recognized club. He even wore his colors to the classroom portion of the course. Not even kidding, he was a pretty nice guy and a good rider, so yeah, there's no need to be nervous if you don't fit into what people think the normal motorcyclist stereotype is. There will be younger people, older people, men, women, alphas, and betas alike. Lastly, if you're taking the MSF course, you should expect to pass. I don't mean to fill your soft brain with false optimism, but in reality, if you cannot pass the MSF course, you probably shouldn't be on a motorcycle. Almost everyone in my course passed it with ease regardless of experience level, except for that one older couple I mentioned earlier and a poor guy who accidentally tipped his bike over on the very first part of the skills test. If I remember correctly, dropping your bike during the final skills test is the only automatic disqualification. Otherwise, different errors are tallied up and it takes quite a few to result in a failing grade. You can stall the bikes a few times, put your foot down a few times, go outside the lines during a U-turn and so on, and even with a few different errors, you should still have no problem passing. The instructors in your course will walk you through the grading system and even help determine which errors are economical for you to make if you have no choice. Like if it is more costly to put your foot down or go outside the lines during a U-turn. As I mentioned earlier, you will be practicing these exercises so many times. As long as you listen to your instructors and follow these directions, you should feel relatively confident that you'll be able to pass without any issues. And if you don't, say you accidentally tip over the bike or something, you will be very well equipped to just hop over to the DMV, take their skills test, and get your endorsement that way without having to take the entire MSF course again. And now for the obligatory shout out to our European audience, chime down below in the comment section about how ridiculous our licensing system is, because I completely agree, and I would love to see an A1, A2 licensing system and a little more stringent requirements for people who ride motorcycles here in the States, because I've seen so many dummies who don't know how to ride riding motorcycles. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please take a minute to subscribe and click the notification bell. Fact: the burning sensation from eating spicy peppers is a neurological reaction and not a physical one. These peppers contain a chemical called capsaicin, which naturally binds to the pain receptors in our nerves. Goodbye.
Keep watching in